Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, November 24th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Rising cases, increasing concern. We begin with breaking new numbers of COVID-19 cases and deaths here in San Diego County. Moments ago, county health officials announced a new single-day case record, 1,546 cases. And sadly, 16 deaths from the virus were also reported. As KPBS reporter Tanya Thorne tells us, concerns are growing about a rise in hospitalizations across California.
As the holidays approach, hospitals are bracing to feel the pressure of rising COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations throughout California.
When you see the numbers more than double in just under 3 weeks, we're concerned.
Over the last 14 days, COVID-19 hospitalizations have increased by 81% statewide, currently placing over 5,800 Californians in hospital care. ICU hospitalizations have also increased by 57%, putting over 1,300 Californians into intensive care.
This tells us that we're more than double today, that the pressure on our hospitals will continue.
Dr. Ghali says the biggest concern is what the current cases foreshadow for healthcare providers and hospitals.
We're feeling more and more confident that 12% of today's cases end up hospitalized about 2 to 3 weeks later.
Locally, Scripps Health said they are starting to feel the pressure and have already had to transfer patients to different hospitals due to capacity.
We had to decompress our hospitals in the south. We had 2 Mercy Chula Vista transfers to La Jolla, 2 Mercy Chula Vista transfers to Green. So that's 4 out of Chula Vista just yesterday. So we are starting to feel the volume internally as well. And then we did accept transfers from El Centro last night.
Today, there are over 15,000 cases statewide. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
UC San Diego's chancellor is urging students and staff to get tested for COVID-19 after the university's wastewater monitoring system detected the virus in multiple sites. The buildings with detectable virus in the wastewater are on your screen. Anyone who used the restroom in one of the buildings between Sunday and Monday should get tested for COVID-19 out of an abundance of caution. UCSD expanded its monitoring to 52 sample sites across campus on Sunday. The largest spike in coronavirus cases is among Latino communities in the South Bay. Latinos account for 60% of all cases countywide, where they are just a third of the population. KPBS reporter Shalina Chatlani says for many in low-income communities, health takes a back seat to the stress of putting food on the table.
At a food donation stall outside a Sherman Heights home, an elderly man sifts through bags of dried black beans, rice, and onions.
No, nomás la agarra y le echa limoncito, las pela y le echa limoncito.
Since the pandemic started, many like this man have relied on these food stalls that have expanded across the South Bay region, says volunteer Araceli Mauricio.
Toda la gente que ha venido aquí dice que es una buena ayuda porque mucha gente ya perdió su trabajo.
In fact, unemployment rates in places like National City are nearly double that of Del Mar and Poway. But it's not just unemployment that's surging. Compared to these northern suburbs, Imperial Beach and Chula Vista have on average 3 times the coronavirus case rate. Mauricio says there's a lot of reasons the spread could be high. People don't like wearing masks, but still like having gatherings, and there's more.
Sí, lo que pasa es que la gente pues está preocupada en la renta, en la comida. En lo demás, pues, y es mucha gente hasta tienen miedo a ir a la clínica.
Mauricio says while people are concerned about their health, they're scared going to the clinic could lead to missing a paycheck to pay for rent or food. Christian Ramirez is standing at the top of Grant Hill in Sherman Heights. He's the policy director of the labor union SEIU, United Service Workers West.
Behind me are the hardest hit zip codes of COVID-19 positive cases in the entire county. Chula Vista, National City.
Ramirez says the community does have a lot of essential workers in businesses like grocery stores. Those stores keep the economy running, but workers are at high risk for contracting coronavirus. But he says those issues are part of a larger problem, contributing to COVID cases here. And that's a historical lack of healthcare resources in low-income Latino communities.
These are working class communities, but these are also communities that historically have been neglected. Not far from here is an abandoned hospital, for instance, that used to serve this community 20, 30 years ago and now has been abandoned.
That's where San Diego General Hospital shut down in 1991.
And when you have a population of folks who have been left to fend for themselves for a long time without adequate services, without adequate information that is culturally relevant, that is accessible in multiple languages, then this happens. The pandemic just grabs hold of these socioeconomic factors and spreads.
KPBS has reported that 87% of the region's 7,000 hospital beds are in the city of San Diego and cities north of San Diego, leaving fewer than 900 total beds in South Bay cities.
We're telling communities, get out there and work, provide for us, but if you get sick, well, good luck to you.
Greg Cox is the outgoing supervisor for District 1, which covers South Bay.
I think I've worked very closely with the South County elected officials, the mayors of Chula Vista, National City, and Imperial Beach.
County officials say spread is high in this region because of the concentration of essential workers. They also say cross-border traffic may contribute to higher rates. Cox says officials have reached out in Spanish and increased access to testing.
We've got over 50 testing sites. On some days, we've had as many as 63 different testing sites.
Cox says the county has tried to offer assistance for rent and food.
And can we do more? Yeah, we can.
Incoming County Supervisor Nora Vargas agrees. Vargas is from the district and will be the first Latina woman to hold that seat. She says support must include practical solutions like financial assistance.
It means people have a better opportunities to access, for instance, CalFresh, being able to advocate so that the government can continue to provide the EBT emergency cards so that people can have that access to that food right now.
Vargas was an executive with Planned Parenthood for 20 years. She says it's important for county leaders to build trust so people go to a community health center or get a COVID test.
It's not just an email and a text, right? It's actually getting out there in the community and having conversations.
Vargas says people in the South Bay who are worried about feeding their families won't be able to focus on their health care, especially if those healthcare resources are scarce. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
Today's turkey giveaway in National City came with a few extras this year. While handing out hundreds of turkeys, city officials also gifted COVID-19 safety kits. They come with an infrared thermometer, face masks, hand sanitizer, and alcohol wipes, along with information on the updated county health orders. Mayor Alejandra Sotelo Solis says she doesn't want case numbers to grow because of choices made over the holidays.
There's a spike, and we know that collectively, countywide, we need to continue encouraging people to stay home. We want grandma, we want our ates, we want our ninas and our grandmas to be around for our next holiday season.
As of the latest county data, there are more than 2,300 positive cases in National City. San Diego Unified School District is distributing enough meals to students and their families to get them through the Thanksgiving holiday. KPBS education reporter Joe Hong has the details.
Since the start of the pandemic, San Diego Unified School District has distributed more than 8 million meals to students. This week, cars lined up at the usual pickup locations to take enough meals for the holiday weekend. Clark Middle School in City Heights was one of those locations.
Well, yesterday we got about 500 parents came down.
Sherwin LaRoya is a food service supervisor with the district.
There's more people coming down in the holiday because, we're closed on those 3 days period, and we give them more as much as we can get them a meal for that week. that they have, without us having those 3 days.
The district handed out these meals at the 34 usual locations. But since the district isn't distributing food for the rest of the week, Laroya and his team gave out less perishable meals.
We have frozen item, which is we have taco nada or grilled cheese. We have fruit, three kind of fruits that we have in the bag. We have milk, juice, and a chocolate milk, and a cereal, breakfast. And we have, what else? We have a dry fruit and fruit cups and all that stuff.
Laroya said each day about 400 meals have been distributed at Clark Middle School since March. The district will resume its regular meal service on Monday, November 30th. Joe Hong, KPBS News.
More help is on the way for local residents having a hard time paying their rent. The county will soon accept applications. Rules for the program are laid out at sdhcd.org. And that's where you can submit an application and track its status starting on December 1st. Up to $3,000 will be awarded for past due or upcoming rent for those who qualify. A massive unemployment scam. At least 35,000 unemployment claims were made on behalf of prison inmates, including one filed in the name of a convicted murderer, Scott Peterson. Sacramento County's district attorney says the state has paid out at least $140 million in benefits. She called it perhaps the biggest fraud of taxpayer dollars in California history. Pennsylvania and Nevada certified their presidential election results today, another step signaling that the election is over and the transition is underway. President-elect Biden made some key introductions as his administration takes shape. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Washington.
Joe Biden preparing to write a new chapter in U.S. foreign policy with the help of some familiar hands.
They embody my core beliefs that America is strongest when it works with its allies.
The president-elect formally introduced his foreign policy and national security teams the day after the Trump administration finally formally acknowledged or ascertained the presidential transition. Leading the foreign policy team, Biden has tapped longtime aide Antony Blinken as Secretary of State.
Tony's been one of my closest and most trusted advisors.
And his top messenger to governments around the globe, a move praised in diplomatic circles.
Tony Blinken was not only Deputy Secretary of State, so he truly understands how this position works, but he was also Biden's foreign policy advisor.
In addition to emphasizing experience, Biden also keeping a campaign promise to build a diverse cabinet, including Alejandro Mayorkas, a Cuban-American tapped to serve as Homeland Security Secretary, and Avril Haines, who would become the first woman to serve as intelligence chief. President Trump, meanwhile, appearing briefly before reporters Tuesday, touting the Dow's milestone, but not taking questions.
The stock market's just broken 30,000, never been broken, that number. That's a sacred number, 30,000. Nobody thought they'd ever see it.
Then making the annual turkey pardon. In Washington, Karen Kaifa, KPBS News.
And although overall traffic is a bit lighter, there are new highway hotspots around the county, and the pandemic is to blame. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer shows us how a new interactive data map could help you get around on our highways.
Sandag's new highway hotspots and volumes tracker records monthly averages for the weekday traffic volumes and speeds at highway hotspots throughout the county. The data available on the tracker covers March through October 2020, and users can compare that to the same time in 2019.
Anyone can get on, look at it if they're interested in seeing change, and then if they want to do their own analysis, the data's right there for them also. We're potentially looking at continuing to expand this and do different phases with this dashboard.
While traffic in the region has rebounded since its lowest point in April of this year, car volume on San Diego highways is still down compared to the same time in 2019.
This most recent month that we now have data for, October, it was down 19%. So before we were down about half the number of people driving on the freeways and the number of vehicle miles traveled. Now we're about at 1/5.
One of the biggest revelations in the Sandag data, traffic speeds on San Diego County highways increased at the beginning of lockdowns in March, and they have remained above pre-pandemic levels.
What we looked at were 10 hotspots around the region that really slowed down during the morning rush hour period of time. And we found that across those 10 hotspots, Prior to the pandemic, the average speed in the morning was about 58 miles per hour. What we've seen now more recently is it's up about 6 miles per hour more, about 65 miles per hour.
Burke says she is unsure whether traffic volumes and speeds will fully return to what was previously normal for San Diego highways as telework and new modes of transit may become more popular in the region. The new interactive data map will continue to be updated monthly. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Today, Congress passed a second version of the Ocean Pollution Reduction Act. KPBS reporter Shalina Chatlani says the legislation will help the city divert funds into its pure water recycling program.
The San Diego region is dry and its freshwater supply is vulnerable, said legislation author Congressman Scott Peters at a press conference on Tuesday.
Now, statewide drought conditions exacerbated by climate change, population growth, and historical overdrafting of water resources have made meeting our water challenges here a permanent challenge.
So the city is invested in starting a pure water project to treat sewage into drinking water. Over time, that would mean less sewage will be going to treatment plants that need to process it for discharge into the ocean. Peters says the Ocean Pollution Reduction Act allows the Point Loma water sewage treatment plant to operate as it is, instead of seeking waivers from the EPA or going through expensive upgrades.
However, scientists at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography have long said that forcing San Diego ratepayers to pay billions of dollars to upgrade the Point Loma facility to a secondary level would be a waste of money, because the enhanced advanced treatment that the plant currently provides, along with its 4.5-mile-long outfall, does not harm the ocean environment.
Instead, those billions of dollars can go toward the Pure Water Project, which is necessary for San Diegans to have enough drinking water.
Over the same period, the program is expected to reduce pollution discharge at Point Loma by over 100 million gallons.
Now the bill has to go to the Senate. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
It's already been a record-setting year for wildfires across the state, and fire weather is expected to return to Southern California on Thanksgiving with the onset of Santa Ana winds. Mark Mancuso has your forecast.
Some changes coming in our weather. Trough moving through the southwest. That'll bring back the return of the onshore flow. Meanwhile, we'll see stronger winds arriving here later Thursday and into Friday. Friday should be the windiest day with the Santa Ana. Temperatures cooling off a little bit, and then they'll start to rise Friday through the weekend. So the weekend looks pretty good. As we take a look at tonight, some clouds again near the coast. Oceanside 41, San Diego 52. Ramona is down to 36, and El Cajon is at 46. Borrego Springs dips down to 39 and below freezing in Mount Laguna. Checking on the weather for tomorrow, well, we'll be looking at a dry day, and we'll be enjoying sunshine after some morning clouds. As we take a look at our temperatures, they'll be rising to 66 in Oceanside. San Diego's at 67. El Cajon, those at 73, and Ramona's at 66, so near to a little bit below average temperatures here. Borrego Springs at 73, and Mount Laguna's at 58. Now the high pressure starts to bring us that stronger offshore flow, and we'll see the winds ramping up here Thursday night and into Friday. And with the dry, mild conditions, we'll be looking at a high fire potential here, near critical fire conditions arriving Thursday night and into Friday. Let's take a look at the numbers for you. You can see we're a little cool the next couple of days, but Friday into the weekend certainly looks nice as we head our way into the inland areas. Partly sunny, and then more sunshine. Temperatures rising through the weekend. And as we take you to the mountains, temperatures will be hovering in the low 60s. Saturday, mid-60s. Sunday, desert areas looking pleasant. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures slowly rise through the weekend. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
Major airlines are rolling back some safety measures to accommodate an expected rise in holiday travelers. Airlines say Thanksgiving week could be the busiest they've been since March, despite the recent nationwide coronavirus surge. Mandy Gaither has a closer look.
Soaring to a new normal, American Airlines, United, and JetBlue announcing they will do away with policies they put in place at the start of the pandemic. But with more people expected to travel this holiday season, airlines are taking notice, adding hundreds of flights to schedules that were slashed earlier this year. Southwest says it will no longer cap capacity on its flights after the Thanksgiving rush, saying in a statement, quote, "Our return to a normal way of booking and operating flights came in concert with a chorus of trusted scientific voices that validated the efficacy of aircraft ventilation systems." JetBlue says it will sell every seat on board its flights starting January 8th of next year. Right now, the airline is capping capacity at 70% on board. Delta is the only major U.S. airline still blocking middle seats as a precaution.
Our consumers are telling us it's working. Our people are telling us they're feeling comfortable in the environment, and we're going to continue to work on getting air travel back.
This all comes in the middle of a COVID-19 surge, but airlines are pointing to enhanced cleaning protocols and new research that supports their decisions. A Harvard study suggests the ventilation systems of an airliner keep virus transmission rates low, as long as everyone is wearing a mask. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A permanent switch to telework could allow more than 15% of all San Diego renters to purchase a starter home in a less expensive location. That's according to a report released by Zillow. Researchers say the rapid rise in pandemic-driven telework could make first-time home ownership most broadly accessible to Black renters, about 21% compared to other renters. The findings were based on factors including income, the makeup of local industries, and geography.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, with the transition officially underway, we look at the challenges President-elect Biden faces as he moves forward. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
9 months in, the COVID-19 pandemic is hitting San Diego hard, but there are some bright spots. KPBS reporter John Carroll says the San Diego Humane Society is managing to thrive in this challenging time.
We're still doing all the work we would normally do, just in a different way.
Humane Society President Dr. Gary Weitzman says they started doing things differently back in March, right after the pandemic hit. They began drive-through events, volunteers and staff handing out free pet food to families in need. We were there back then.
Do one big bag for you guys.
And today, pet food is still being distributed Tuesday through Sunday, 9 to 6, at all 5 Humane Society campuses. But these many months later, we wanted to see how the nonprofit is holding up during this time when businesses across the county are folding.
We've been incredibly lucky that San Diego residents care so much about animals, and they've supported us throughout the pandemic and are continuing to do so.
That support has allowed the society to be there for animals in need. They get the best care here until they find their forever homes, and the society is there for animals outside these walls. When the Valley Fire struck in September, more than 150 staff and volunteers helped to evacuate and shelter everything from horses to birds. They were there in September and October, helping to evacuate and adopt out hundreds of dogs and cats from the hurricane-ravaged Gulf Coast. Dr. Weitzman says fewer pets have been dropped off during the pandemic, but even the ones who are here are spending a lot less time at the society than they used to. In that way, the pandemic has brought a silver lining for people and pets.
They need something to distract the kids, and animals are great at that. They need something to take care of and to care for them back. Animals certainly give unconditional love because they can't do different, but it's the one thing that we can give unconditional love back to.
The era of COVID has brought so many changes to our lives, and it's no exception here. As a matter of fact, looking past the pandemic, Gary Weitzman says the Humane Society will interact with people in a whole new way.
We're converting our basic business philosophy to actually help people in their communities rather than having them always have to come to our shelters, and ensure that nobody that wants to keep their animals in their home, that wants to hold on to these most important things in their lives, will ever be at risk for losing them again.
A new way of doing things, a bright light at the end of this dark tunnel, something to look forward to for us humans and the animals we love so much. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Two teenagers in Carlsbad were stopped in their tracks when they looked into a tree and saw a mountain lion staring right back at them. They took this quick recording of the growling big cat perched about 25 feet up. It was spotted less than a half a mile from La Costa Meadows Elementary School, which has started in-person learning. Wildlife experts say it's common for mountain lions to rest in a tree after hunting all night.
They can have up to 100 square miles of a territory. Hunting through dusk till dawn. So during the day, a lot of times that's where they're going to be resting.
Neighbors told our media partners 10 News there have been mountain lion sightings in nearby Box Canyon for years. One did file a report of the most recent sighting with state fish and wildlife officials. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, another side effect of the pandemic, local school districts are struggling with shortages of substitute teachers. And on Midday Edition, a Thanksgiving tradition. Chef Bernard is joining us to answer all of your cooking questions before the big feast. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Your funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.